For more on the story, I'm joined now by Ian Reifowitz, Professor of Historical Studies in New York at the New York State University, Empire State College. Thank you very much indeed for being our guest this lunchtime. Tell us a little bit about the significance of these particular primaries, these 5 Eastern primaries that we saw yesterday. Does it mean neither candidate has the outright number of delegates that they need so far, but does it mean that we're already looking towards a Clinton-Trump election campaign, or could there be surprises ahead?
We are probably looking towards a Clinton-Trump campaign, but I use the word probably. Let's start with the Democrats, where it's much easier. On the Democratic side, it's over. Hillary Clinton won, as you know, 4 out of 5 states last night, including the 2 biggest states by far, Maryland and Pennsylvania. It would be almost impossible for Senator Sanders to get enough delegates to surpass her. He'd have to win the remaining states by an average of 30%. That's something he's done only once in his home state of Vermont. It seems almost impossible to think that he could do that again in the remaining few states. Turning to the Republican side, the Stop Trump movement really is going to be making its last stand next Tuesday in Indiana. It's about the math. If Donald Trump, and we've been saying this for months, can get to 50% of the pledged delegates before the Republican convention, he'll win on the first ballot. If he can't win on the first ballot, the rules are that it's a wide open contest. And if you look at the numbers, if Donald Trump can win in Indiana next Tuesday, he will probably get to that 50% mark. If he doesn't win in Indiana next Tuesday, he probably will not. And that's why Donald Trump needs to win in Indiana next week.
So that Indiana race will be key. All eyes very much on it, not least within the Republican Party itself. This will be its defining moment.
Oh, absolutely. But, you also saw something defining from Donald Trump last night. If we go back to the assumption that it will be a Clinton-Trump race, Donald Trump in the past few days, his camp has been putting out signals that he's going to, in a sense, calm down, or to use his words, be more presidential. That he wouldn't be engaging in the kind of reckless rhetoric that he's been engaging in throughout the campaign, going back to his announcement when he's talked about Mexican rapists coming across the border. Well, what did we have last night in his speech? You've got the prospect of the first female nominee for the presidential, for the general election by a major party. And what does he say about Hillary Clinton? He says, well, she's only doing this well because she's a woman. I think he said if she were a man, she wouldn't be getting 5% of the vote. That is not going to go over well. That's an inflammatory statement, and you even saw that last night on Trump's own stage. Governor Chris Christie's wife, Mary Pat Christie, was noticeably chagrined, unhappy with Donald Trump when he made that statement, and the image of her unhappiness has already gone viral. If Donald Trump is going to run against women and against Hillary Clinton's womanhood, I think he's going to have some interesting results in November.
He appears to have alienated vast swathes of the American public already, but you mentioned this change in tactic. We expect to hear him talk about things like foreign policy, for instance. He's going to put behind him the rallies that we've seen so much of over the course of the last few weeks, and presumably a bit of that rough and tumble style. Is that what we should expect from the front run in the Republican race over the coming days?
Well, I would say we can expect him to try. But, there are a number of cliches I could use here. A leopard can't change its spots. Donald Trump is what he is. Donald Trump doesn't really seem to have an internal filter. I don't think you can expect him to leave behind the Trump he has been for the first 69 years of his life, let alone for the first 6 months of this campaign.
Ian Reifowitz, thank you so much for being our guest this afternoon.